Good morning. How are y'all this morning? We need some more coffee, right? And if you do want coffee, there's some downstairs and snacks and all the good things. My name's Lizzie Shake-Snyder. I'm the Professional Development Manager for the Auditor's Office. It's great to be here with you guys this morning. Judith was talking about if you have any questions, there's a QR code. That QR code is also located on the big pillars on the side of the room. So if you have a question and you don't feel comfortable asking that in person, please feel free to go scan that QR code. We would love to answer any question that you have. Your first session is, audit-ready, stress-free. Your essential checklist for success. Sounds interesting, doesn't it? Our first instructor is Mr. Brandon Boylan. He is the Finance Director for the City of St. George, where he leads efforts to strengthen financial stewardship and drive operational efficiency. Since stepping into this role in April of 2025, Brandon has focused on building robust internal controls and delivering transparent, high-quality financial reporting that supports the city's long-term goals. With nearly 2 decades of experience in the public sector finance, Brandon previously served as Finance Director for the City of Gonzales, Senior Accountant for Ascension Parish, and began his career right here with the Legislative Auditor's Office. So please welcome Mr. Brandon Boylan.
All right, good morning, everyone, and thank you, Lizzie. I'm honored, truly honored to be here, and excited to share this morning with you guys. So what if I told you there was a simple way to lower your work stress and walk into audit season without your blood pressure spiking? Imagine a fiscal year where everything feels a little less chaotic, where audit prep doesn't involve caffeine-fueled panic or last-minute document hunts. Picture your team as deadlines get closer, not scrambling, not sweating, just calmly doing their thing like, yeah, we've got this. And the secret? A checklist. Yep, not fancy software, not a revolutionary new accounting philosophy, just a good old-fashioned checklist. Every time you check something off, things get a little bit clearer, a little bit cleaner, and way less stressful. Suddenly, the audit doesn't feel like a boss battle. It's more like, oh, hey, we're already prepared. That's what happens when simple habits turn into reliable systems. This year, we're going for one goal: audit-ready, stress-free. So why do checklists matter? Checklists sometimes get a bad reputation. People think they're basic or unnecessary, but really they're one of the easiest tools we have for keeping things running smoothly. Checklists help us reduce avoidable errors through consistency. When the process is the same every time, we stop relying on memory, which, let's be honest, it's not always as reliable as we'd like to be, our memory. They also improve communication and teamwork. When everyone's following the same steps, no one is guessing who's doing what or whether something got missed along the way. Another big benefit is freeing up mental bandwidth. Instead of trying to remember 27 steps, we let the checklist do the remembering. That leaves our brains available for the important stuff, like solving real problems, not tracking paperwork. Checklists break complex processes into simple, repeatable actions. It's amazing how much easier things feel when the steps are clear and in order instead of floating around in our heads. And finally, they create accountability and clarity. Everyone knows their role, what's expected, and what's to be completed. No guesswork, no finger pointing, no, I thought you had it. So really, checklists aren't busy work. They're stress busters. They keep us organized, consistent, and audit ready without the chaos. So why does audit preparation matter? Effective audit prep isn't just about compliance, it's about everyone's stress levels below espresso-fueled meltdown. When we stay organized, we spend way less time digging through files like detectives in a crime drama, and more like time actually improving our processes. Auditors love a team that's prepared. It means fewer questions, faster answers, and dramatically fewer, give me a minute moments. Good preparation also helps us catch issues early. Outdated reconciliations, missing approvals, mysterious transactions that no one remembers, all the fun stuff. By making readiness a habit, audits stop feeling like a surprise pop quiz and start feeling more like, oh, we're good, we've been ready. In the end, solid prep isn't just about getting a cleaner report. It builds a culture where accountability and calm are the norm. So let's talk about some audit requirements and expectations. Auditors rely on many things, but 4 key things that they rely on us to do in order to do their job well is accuracy, completeness, timeliness, and transparency. When we get those right, everything else goes a whole lot smoother. Accuracy means our numbers are clean, reconciled, and backed up with solid documentation. When that's in place, auditors can move quickly without circling back with a dozen follow-up questions. Completeness is simply giving them everything they need up front: bank statements, contracts, invoices, reconciliations, all of it. It saves time for everyone and prevents the slow drip of, oh, we still need this one more thing. Timeliness matters more than people think. The faster we respond, the more prepared we are, the shorter the audit lasts, and trust me, no one complains about a shorter audit. Transparency just means being honest. If something weird happened, tell them before they find out and give you that look. Having pre-audit conversations and keeping organized digital folders helps a ton. It gives auditors a clear starting point and sets the tone for smoother audit processes. When we hit these 4 points consistently, the audit feels less like a stress event and more like a confirmation that we've been on top of things all year. So what's one of the best tools to prepare for an audit? A checklist. So let's start at the high level and work our way down. These next 3 slides set the stage. Think of them as the overhead view of everything we do right. So let's start with the financials. These are the foundation of everything the auditors will look at. First, we want to make sure the financial statements tie out. That means every number on the statements connects cleanly back to our support. No loose ends, no mystery totals. Next, the trial balance needs to be fully updated and adjusted. All year-end entries, accruals, and corrections should already be in place, so we're not scrambling during field work. And finally, all our schedules must reconcile to the general ledger. Things like fixed assets, debt schedules, grant reports, and other supporting schedules. If the schedules don't match the GL, then the auditors definitely won't be able to make sense of them. Bank recs. Bank recs done and reviewed because the bank and our books should not be living separate lives. Outstanding items research. If a check has been on vacation for 3 months, it's time to bring it home. Monthly close procedures documented. Auditors love steps, not, trust me, we do it. Supporting documentation is filed and organized, so everything we need is easy to find when questions come up. We use standard naming conventions to keep our folders clean, consistent, and easy to navigate for both our team and the auditors. Grant compliance folders are prepared in advance, so all required documents are in one place when it's time for testing. Updated policies and compliance tracking reduces operational risks and audit exceptions. First, we make sure our policies are updated and easy for everyone to access. Nothing slows a process down faster than outdated procedures or rules that no one can find. Next, all compliance filings are submitted on time. This keeps us in good standing and prevents unnecessary follow-ups, extensions, or those friendly but not so friendly reminder emails. And finally, our board minutes include budget to actuals, which helps ensure transparency and support strong oversight. Auditors look for this as evidence that our leadership is reviewing financial performance regularly. The SAUPs are essentially a statewide greatest hits checklist. It's a checklist in and of itself, a curated list of the areas where Louisiana entities have historically run into the most trouble. They're not designed to catch every possible risk. That checklist would need its own zip code. Instead, they focus on spots where fraud, waste, or misuse of funds have popped up most often. The whole point is prevention, to help strengthen internal controls so organizations can avoid repeating the kinds of issues that made the checklist necessary in the first place. In other words, the SAUPs exist to help us stay organized, stay accountable, and keep our name far away from the future notable findings list. All right. And month-end close is where all the structure really begins. These steps set the tone for accurate reporting for the rest of the month. First, we lock our prior month in the accounting system. That prevents accidental changes and makes sure we're all working from the same finalized numbers. Next, we verify all invoices, receipts, and cash collections have been submitted. Missing documents are the #1 reason month-end gets delayed, so collecting everything up front saves a lot of time. We also confirm that all credit card statements and P-card logs are turned in. These tend to trickle in at different times, so getting them early keeps us from chasing them down later. And finally, we send reminders to departments for anything outstanding. A quick nudge at this stage helps prevent bigger cleanup later on. In short, close the month, gather everything, follow up early, and keep the process moving along. All right, bank and cash reconciliation are essential for audit readiness and strong internal controls. We start by reconciling all bank accounts. This confirms that our records match the bank's and that everything has been recorded properly. Then we review outstanding checks and deposits in transit. Anything that's been sitting a while gets a second look, so we're not carrying old items month after month. Next, we clear aging reconciling items. Nothing over 60 days or anything over 60 days gets flagged, and anything over 90 days gets investigated. The older the item, the more likely the auditors will ask about it. So we stay way ahead of that. And finally, we reconcile any petty cash or cash on hand if we maintain those. Even small amounts matter when it comes to internal controls. Accounts payable and purchasing is all about making sure our expenses are recorded in the right month and properly approved. Few simple steps here prevent a lot of month-end cleanup and auditor questions later on. First, we enter all vendor invoices received. The sooner they're in the system, the easier it is to stay accurate and avoid late surprises. Next, we confirm purchase orders, match the invoice, the classic three-way match. This is one of our strongest controls because it ensures we actually received what we're paying for. If something hasn't been billed yet, we accrue unpaid invoices or services performed. This keeps our expenses in the correct period and protects the integrity of our financials. We then review vendor statements to catch any missing invoices. Sometimes the vendor forgot to send it. Sometimes it's buried in someone's inbox. Either way, it's better to catch it now. And finally, we verify coding, fund, function, department, program, grants, all of it. Good coding ensures clean reporting and avoids reclassifications later. In short, accounts payable and purchasing is where accuracy, control, and timing all come together. Good habits here make the audit and our financials much smoother. Payroll and personnel is always a big audit focus, especially during the SAUP audit. So accuracy really matters here. We start by verifying payroll reports tied to the general ledger. This confirms that what we paid and what we recorded are speaking the same language. If payroll crosses month, we record payroll accruals. This keeps expenses in the correct period, so our financials stay clean and aligned. Next, we verify all the benefits, retirement contributions, and payroll taxes were submitted. These payments are time sensitive and auditors look closely at them. We also check for new hires and termination, making sure employees are set up correctly or removed promptly. So access, pay, and benefits stay accurate. And finally, we update leave balances and reconcile them to the timekeeping system. Small issues here snowball fast, so catching discrepancies early saves a lot of cleanup. In short, payroll is high risk, high importance. When we stay accurate and up to date here, auditors are happy and so are employees. Credit cards and are a major internal control area, especially again for the SAUP audit. This section helps keep everything clean and compliant. Again, first we collect all card statements. Having them in one place keeps us from chasing down paperwork later. Then we match receipts to the transactions. Missing receipts get flagged early so we can follow up before month end. We also confirm that the business purpose is documented. A clear description now saves a lot of explaining later. Next, we review card limits and user lists to make sure everything reflects current staff and responsibilities. And finally, we remove access for terminated employees. This is one of the simplest internal controls that we can do to make sure we're protecting our taxpayer dollars. Overall, good credit card oversight shows strong internal controls and makes those statewide agreed upon procedure testing and audit testing much smoother. The general ledger review is our quality check before anything moves into reporting. This is where we make sure the numbers actually make sense. We start by reviewing all balance sheet accounts for reasonableness. If something looks too high, too low, or just plain odd, this is where we catch it. When we reconcile accounts receivable, accounts payable, inventory, and prepaid balances, these are the accounts that tend to drift if they're not monitored regularly. So tying them back each month saves a lot of cleanup later. We also record any fixed asset additions and disposals. Whether we brought in new equipment or retired old assets, it needs to be reflected in the ledger now, not discovered during the audit. Next, we review debt balances and interest payments. This ensures our schedules match the GL and helps prevent surprises during year end. And finally, we scan for duplicate entries or unusual activity. Anything that stands out gets investigated early before it becomes a bigger issue later. All right, grants and compliance work, especially important in governmental and nonprofit environments. Every dollar we spend has rules attached to it. This one area is where staying organized really pays off. We start by matching grant expenditures to grant budgets, ensure we're spending within the approved limits, and prevent surprises when reporting time comes. Next, we maintain all supporting documentation in the grant files, invoices, contracts, approvals, communication from the grantors, everything. It's nice to have it all in one place. That way, when it comes time for reporting, it's all together. When auditors review grant activity, the documentation is what helps us keep us in the clear. We also track deadlines for reimbursement requests and reports. Many grants have strict timelines, and missing a deadline can mean delayed funding or losing funding altogether. And finally, we verify that all expenditures comply with restricted funding rules. Grants often come with very specific do's and don'ts. So this step makes sure every charge aligns with what the grantor allows. Overall, strong monthly grant and compliance habits make year-end reporting easier, protecting funding, and help prevent findings in one of the most sensitive audit areas. Internal reporting. Internal reporting is what keeps leadership informed, aligned, and ready to make decisions. This is where all the monthly work comes together in a way that people can actually use. We begin by preparing monthly budget to actual reports. This gives leadership a clear snapshot of where we stand, what's on track, and what might need attention. We then provide department level budget summaries so managers know exactly how their areas are performing without having to dig through the GL. We also highlight any variances over 5% or other thresholds that leadership may want to track. This helps quickly surface anything that might require follow-up or an explanation, and helps keep us on track to comply with the Local Government Budget Act. And finally, we update any dashboards or key performance indicators. These visuals make trends easy to spot and help leadership monitor performance at a glance. Overall, this step turns raw numbers into information people can act on. It's how we keep everyone aligned and avoid surprises down the road. Internal controls and documentation might not be glamorous, but strong habits here are one of the best ways to reduce audit findings. We start by updating procedure manuals as process changes or change. If the way we do something has evolved, the written process needs to evolve with it. Outdated instructions are an easy place for auditors to spot gaps. Next, we maintain evidence of segregation of duties, whether that's review stamps, sign-offs, or digital approval logs. This is one of the first things auditors check because it shows the right people are reviewing the right tasks. We also document any system changes or updates. Even small changes matter. They help explain fluctuations and give auditors context when they see differences from month to month. And finally, we archive month-end documentation in structured folders, so everything is organized and easy to retrieve later. This saves time during the audit and ensures nothing slips through the cracks. In short, good documentation and clear internal controls make the audit smoother, faster, and more predictable. SAUP readiness, statewide agreed upon procedures. It's all about avoiding year-end surprises. These monthly touch points help us stay compliant and keep the SAUP process predictable instead of stressful. First, and this is just a sample of the SAUPs. First, we make sure bank reconciliations are completed within 2 months and reviewed within 1 month. Timely bank recs are a big SAUP focus, and sticking to these timelines keeps us in the clear. Next, we maintain ethics and harassment training records. Auditors will check that employees completed the required training, and having this organized prevents a last-minute scramble. We also ensure IT backup documentation is current. Even a simple, regularly updated backup log goes a long way in demonstrating strong IT controls. Then we document contract approvals and procurement steps. This shows we're following the rules, and it makes SAUP testing much smoother. No one wants to hunt down missing signatures and approvals at year end. And finally, we file credit card and fuel card documentation properly. These areas are high risk in the SAUP testing, so keeping receipts and logs organized every month saves us from cleanup later. And again, note that this isn't the complete checklist for the SAUP prep, but rather just a sample. For the complete list, visit the Legislative Auditor's website. Overall, these touch points are about staying ahead instead of catching up. A little consistency here makes the SAUP audit feel much more manageable. And then month-end review. This is where we bring everything together. It's our chance to make sure the team is aligned, issues are addressed early, and we're staying ahead of audit expectations. We start by meeting with the finance team and talk through them with any issues or bottlenecks. This helps us catch problems before they snowball into next month. Then we review any prior audit findings to make sure corrective actions are still in motion. It's much easier to stay on top of these monthly than scramble at year end. We also evaluate workflow improvements. What worked well this month, what didn't, and what can we streamline? And finally, we identify any documentation gaps long before audit season arrives. If something's missing, this is the time to fix it, not when the auditors are already in the building. Overall, this meeting keeps communication strong, keeps surprises to a minimum, and keeps us moving in the right direction month after month. All right, so now we're gonna have a little fun and get down to the nitty-gritty. So we started at the high level, then we went to monthly, and now we're at weekly. So again, some of these concepts may seem a little repetitive, but if we do all of our processes on a weekly basis, this helps on a monthly basis and then eventually on a yearly basis. It's kind of like having a checklist for your checklist so you can check your list. These weekly checklists build strong habits. Again, small steps done consistently eliminate big problems. Cash and collections are a simple weekly check-in that keeps everything clean and accurate. First, we make sure deposits actually posted because money in the bank that should be in the bank should actually be in the bank. Then we match deposit logs to the bank. Our weekly, are we telling the same story check? Next, we look for weird variances. If something looks suspicious, we investigate it before it becomes a month-end plot twist. And finally, we confirm collection logs are complete. No missing entries, no mystery money, no surprises. Short version, money in, logged, matching, not weird, great. Bank prep. Step one, download the weekly bank activity because guessing is not a valid accounting method. Then we tie everything to our receipts and disbursements. If the bank and our books disagree, we find out who's lying. Next, we flag stale checks over 90 days. Any checks that's been out there living their best life for 3 months needs a follow-up. And finally, we investigate unusual transactions. Anything that makes us say, huh? Gets a closer look now, not at the end of the month. Short version, grab the bank data, match it up, chase down old checks, and squash anything weird. Accounts payable and purchasing. First, we enter all the invoices we received because invoices don't magically enter themselves, no matter how much we wish they would. There is likely some AI and some software that can help speed up that process, but they still have to get entered. We then match up POs to invoices. Our weekly, did we actually order this reality check? Next, we track pending approvals, a polite way of saying we chase down the people who still haven't clicked approve or signed off. And finally, we update accruals lists so we don't end up discovering mystery expenses at the end of the month. Enter it, match it, get it approved, and make sure it lands in the right month. Done. Payroll and personnel. Payroll cycles vary weekly, bi-weekly, bi-monthly, but no matter the schedule, the checks still need to be right. People tend to notice when payroll mistakes happen immediately. First, we confirm time card approvals because if it isn't approved, it isn't real. Then we review any odd overtime or leave activity. Basically, we look for things that make us say, interesting. Next, we validate new hires and terminations, making sure the right people are in the system and the wrong people are not still getting paid. And finally, we record payroll journal entries if the software hasn't already done the heavy lifting for us. Approvals done, anomalies checked, people set up correctly, payroll entries recorded. Credit cards and P cards. First, we collect the receipts because apparently they don't grow legs and walk into the folders on their own. Again, documentation software can help here. Then we match receipts to the transaction log, our weekly version of which charge belongs to who. Next, we verify the business purpose, making sure every charge has a real explanation and isn't just, trust me, it's work-related. And finally, we audit a few random transactions, our gentle reminder of, yes, we are watching. Receipts collected, charges matched, purposes documented, random checks to keep everyone honest. General ledger review. First, we scan the balance sheet accounts. Basically a quick, do these numbers look like they belong on planet Earth? Check. Then we look for duplicate entries because nothing says excitement like discovering we paid something twice. Next, we update the fixed asset pending list, making sure new equipment isn't forever trapped in spreadsheet limbo. And finally, we track any unusual activity. If a number looks weird, surprising, or dramatic, we investigate now instead of letting it turn into a month-end cliffhanger. Scan it, catch duplicates, update assets, fix anything weird. Done. Grants. First, we match expenditures to the grant budget because grantors love surprises only when they're pleasant, not overspending, and overspending is not one of them. Then we update reimbursement trackers, our way of making sure we actually get the money back for the things we paid for. Next, we check allowability, making sure every charge fits the grant's rules and doesn't accidentally violate the thou shall not list. And finally, we upload support into the grant files. So when auditors come looking, everything is neatly organized and not living in someone's email inbox. Short version, spend correctly, track the money, follow the rules, and file the proof. Reporting. We start by updating dashboards because leadership loves a good visual, and nothing says we've got this under control like charts that actually make sense. Then we review department spending, just making sure no one went on an unexpected shopping spree. Next, we highlight major variances. Anything that jumps off the page and says, hey, look at me, gets flagged early. And finally, we communicate concerns early because bad news ages like milk, not wine. Update the visuals, check the spin, flag the weird stuff, and speak up early. Controls and documentation. First, we file the weekly documents because if we don't, they will absolutely disappear into the mysterious black hole known as someone's desk pile. Not judging, there's always room for improvement. Then we make sure approvals are documented. Signatures, stamps, digital logs, whatever shows that an audit, whatever shows reviews actually are documented. Next, we record any system changes, even the tiny ones. If the system sneezed, we note it. And software can help with this. And finally, we log any exceptions we find. The small oddities, the that doesn't look right moments. So we can fix them before they turn into bigger problems. File it, approve it, log it, and catch the weird stuff early. SAUP touch points. First, we track reconciliation progress because nothing says audit stress like finding out a reconciliation is 3 months behind. Then we update training records. Make sure everyone completed their required ethics and harassment training and didn't accidentally forget it again. Next, we save IT backup evidence. Those screenshot confirmations and logs that prove everything is actually being backed up and not just hoping for the best. And finally, we log procurement approvals. So when auditors ask, who approved this? We don't have to respond with, good question. Again, this is just a sample checklist of the SAUPs. For the full list, go to the Louisiana Legislative Auditor's website. So in summary there, reconciliations on track, training done, backup saved, approvals are logged, SAUP friendly and audit proof. And finally, a weekly team check-in. We kick things off with a quick weekly huddle, just long enough to stay aligned, not long enough for anyone to need snacks. Then we review open items, basically our chance to see what's moving, what's stuck, and what's pretending not to exist. Next, we plan priorities for the week so everyone knows what actually matters and what can safely wait until later. And finally, we identify any documentation gaps, catching missing files now instead of discovering them during the audit. Huddle up, check the list, set priorities, fix gaps, weekly alignment complete. And follow the checklist. All right, now let's talk about some best practices and common challenges. First, we keep a consistent digital file structure. When everyone saves documents the same way in the same place, it makes life easier, not just for our team, but for the auditors too. A clean structure means faster retrieval, fewer headaches, and a much smoother audit. We also take advantage of digital tools, document management systems, share drive, and secure folders. These let us upload supporting documents in real time instead of waiting till the last minute. The more we do as we go along, the less scrambling we have to do later. Next, we communicate with the auditors early. A quick pre-audit meeting to understand what they need and what their expectations are can save us a ton of follow-up emails and confusion. Starting with clarity reduces surprises on both sides. And finally, we stick to regular monthly and quarterly close procedures and make sure our staff are trained on them. The more consistently we close and reconcile throughout the year, the cleaner our records stay. Good training also means fewer errors and more accountability across departments. And some common pitfalls. Missing documentation. When procedures aren't consistent, invoices and contracts tend to vanish into thin air or into someone's inbox from 5 months ago. Delayed reconciliations. When reconciliations fall behind, so does everything else. And suddenly our financial statements are waiting on us instead of the other way around. Then there's version control. If 4 people are updating the same file with no tracking, we end up with 5 different versions and none of them match. And finally, inconsistent internal controls, missing approvals, or unclear segregation of duties are basically an open invitation for audit findings, and auditors never decline an invitation. More tools and resources. Let's look at some of those. So we use document management systems to centralize audit files because having documents spread across desktops, invoices, inboxes, and mystery folders is not a sustainable lifestyle. Centralizing everything keeps auditors happy and keeps us sane. Customized checklists and templates are our secret weapon. They keep us consistent, compliant, and prevent the "where do I start" moment from every audit season. Basically, they're the GPS of audit prep. Cloud tools let us share documents in real time, which means fewer emails, fewer duplicates, and fewer version named final, V3, really final, this one. Collaboration gets a lot smoother when we're all looking at the same thing. And we always take advantage of outside resources, legislative auditor guidance. Visit the LLA's website and check their YouTube for more CLGE sessions, GFOA training sessions, compliance supplements. They're like a cheat code for audit season. They tell you exactly what's expected so nothing feels like a surprise. And also AI can be your friend here. I'm looking forward to seeing Tracy's presentation tomorrow on building AI practices for reliable results. I saw in her slide, she mentioned using AI to create a checklist from an existing policy document. Maybe that could be a start. Start by asking AI to create a monthly checklist to comply with all the SAUPs. And I also want to share, there's a book that I came across when preparing for this session called The Checklist Manifesto. It's a really, really great book. It was written by Dr. Atul Gawande, and Dr. Gawande was looking for ways to improve the medical field, and in his journey, he looked at other high-risk industries, primarily construction, aviation world, and he found that while they have a lot of similarities, technology, training, they also have another thing in common: checklists. So what Dr. Gawande and his team did, they wanted to bring that more checklist to the medical field. They started researching, developing checklists to improve results in surgical care. And they developed a checklist of about 19 things that they made sure happened every single time. And after testing the checklist in 8 different hospitals, they found that the checklist helped lower complications and deaths by more than 1/3, which is incredible. So if the medical field and construction field and aviation field all use checklists and can benefit from those in a very impactful way, I think we can too. All right, here's the good news. Being audit ready isn't magic. It's just preparation. And preparation gives us something we all want in the audit season: confidence instead of panic. Strong controls, they lead to strong results. Organization, that's the difference between a smooth audit and an audit where sprinting around asking, who has this file? And remember, checklists are our best friends. They turn chaos into clarity, keep us on track, and save us from those oh no moments we'd like to avoid. So as we wrap up, just know this: we've got great processes, we've got great people, and we have great habits. Put it all together, and guess what? You've absolutely got this. Every audit, every year. And with that, I thank you. It's been a pleasure, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you. Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay. Somebody wants to know, what are some document management tools that you use and recommend, and do you have any AI tools that you use?
Yeah, so Copilot is typically it's all built into the Microsoft 365. And of course, you want to work with your IT department and make sure, you're compliant with all the AI policies. If your organization doesn't have an AI policy yet, I'd strongly encourage y'all to take a look into that. We use ShareFile, so we don't have any fancy document imaging system like Laserfiche or anything like that, and that's working for us. We also collaborate in teams, so a lot of our spreadsheets and documents, we can all be in it at the same time. So we can have 3 or 4 of us in there instead of having one file saved on one person's desktop and then emailing back and forth. We try to eliminate emailing documents back and forth as much as possible. We say, okay, hey, this is where it's saved. Go take a look, or I'm in it. Let's look at it together, and so we can go back and forth that way.
One more question. Do you have any suggestions for smaller local governments that currently have no policies in place on how to get this started and a checklist to begin?
That is a great question. I would highly recommend starting with the statewide agreed upon procedures. There's a Word document on the Legislative Auditor's website. I would download that first, see if it's okay to upload that into Copilot, and start there. Exit, hey, I am a finance director for a small town in Louisiana, and then that way it gives it that frame of mind. I'm definitely not an AI expert. Let's tune in to Tracy's presentation tomorrow, but you typically want to prompt it in a way that it knows what frame of mind it's in. That way, when it gives you the answers, it's already, oh, I'm in Louisiana, and oh, I'm a finance officer for a small town. And then when you upload that document, it doesn't have any sensitive information, so that's another key point. You want to make sure you remove any sensitive information. I'm 99.9% sure the statewide AUPs are not, there's no sensitive information in there, so that's very safe to upload that into Copilot and say, hey, give me a checklist. Look at other agencies for sample policies and procedures. Several different agencies have their policies and procedures on their website. Ascension Parish School Board has all of their policies and procedures. We don't yet. We have, of course, our ordinances and resolutions. And of course, feel free, if you need any sample policies and procedures that I can help out with, feel free to reach out. You have my email, my phone number, and I'd be happy to help as well.
And one more question. For those that have not normally done this process, we know this makes it better for the audit process to go smoother, but any other tips for buy-in to do these weekly and monthly tasks?
Yeah, so great question as well. So in preparing for this session, I have to be 100% honest and transparent. We currently don't do those monthly and weekly checklists, but as I was doing research, I'm like, that's a good idea. That's a pretty good idea. So I know some of my folks back in the office are probably tuning in. They're like, wait a minute, we're not doing that. And so, spoiler alert, we'll be doing that soon because I think it's a great idea. So yeah, it's very tough, and I completely understand the resistance to that because nobody wants another meeting, right? A lot of us have lots of meetings all throughout the week or month, and one more meeting. So I would say, some tips to try to ease their mind on that is establishing an agenda beforehand to keep everybody on tasks, and start with short meetings. Hey, let's get together 15 minutes, 20, 30 minutes tops, and just go down the agenda, and here's what we're going to talk about. So that may help ease some tension there. But yeah, I definitely understand the not wanting any more meetings. Any other questions? No, we're good. Well, thank you everybody again. Greatly appreciate being here, and it's been an honor. So thank y'all.